They finally reached each other after being lost for an entire season. Henry and Julia made it to the stones together. They held their baby. They were ready to go home. And then season 2 opens with one of them standing completely alone. So what really happened the moment they touched that rock? The new footage just gave us the answer, and it changes everything we thought we knew about their reunion. Asterisk. Let's start with what the new teaser actually shows us, because it is not what most fans expected going into this season. The footage opens on Julia, and she is not okay. She is standing near the stones holding her baby, and she looks completely broken. This is a woman who spent the entire first season fighting to get back to her family, and now in the very first moments of season 2, she looks more lost than ever. Right after that, the camera cuts to Henry, and he is somewhere else entirely. He is not with Julia. He is not with the baby. He is alone in what looks like a totally different time and place than where we last saw him. This single cut tells us almost everything we need to know about how season 2 begins. The reunion we got at the end of season 1 did not last. Whatever happened the moment they touched those stones, it pulled them apart again instead of bringing them home together. The showrunner has talked about this in interviews and basically confirmed that the trip through the stones did not go the way Henry and Julia were hoping for. One of them made it through and one of them did not. At least not to the same place or the same time. Fans have been going back and forth on theories since the first teaser dropped, and most of them land on the same idea. Julia made it back to the present day with the baby, while Henry got left behind in the past. If that is true, it would explain why she looks so distraught in the footage. She is home, but the man she loves is missing. And it would also explain why Henry is shown somewhere unfamiliar struggling on his own. He did not make the jump with her. This is a big twist because the entire first season built up to that moment at the stones, like it was going to be their happy ending. Instead, the writers used it to split them apart in an even more painful way than before. Asterisk. Now, let's talk about what this separation is actually doing to Henry, because this is where things get heavy fast. The actor who plays him has said flat out that his character is going to struggle with his mental health this season. He already came into the story as a war veteran carrying trauma from World War I, and now on top of that, he is isolated, again, in a place that is not his own time. According to early details, he ends up somewhere he never expected. Somewhere that even surprised the actor when he saw his own costume for the season. That alone tells you this is not a small detour. This is a real storyline about a man falling apart while trying to find his way back to the people he loves. The actor has also said his character finds allies in unlikely places, which suggests he is not going through this completely alone. But it does mean he is starting from zero in a new situation without Julia by his side. On Julia's end, the situation is different but just as hard. She is described as meeting new people as the season goes on, but here is the detail that has fans talking. Early on, there are some old familiar faces who show up again. People are already hoping that means she crosses paths with friendly characters from season 1. And not the more dangerous ones who were holding her and Henry against their will before. Whether that hope pays off is still unknown. But it shows the writers are bringing back connections from the past season instead of starting completely fresh. So here is where we land after the first chunk of new information. The reunion at the end of season 1 was real, but it was short. Something about that trip through the stones separated Henry and Julia again almost immediately. Julia appears to be back in her own time, but devastated and alone with the baby. Henry appears to be stuck somewhere else, fighting his own battle just to survive long enough to find his way back to her. Asterisk. So why would the show do this right after giving fans the reunion they were waiting for? This is actually a pattern the writers have talked about openly. According to the showrunner, every couple in this universe gets built around 3 questions. How do they find each other? How do they get back together? And how do they stay together? Henry and Julia already answered the first question last season when they found their way back to each other after being separated across different points in time. Season 2 appears to be tackling the second question, and the show seems to be making it incredibly difficult on purpose. Getting back together once was hard enough with assailants, chasing them, and a rushed decision at the Stones. Now, it sounds like they have to do it all over again, except this time they are separated by something even bigger than distance. They might be separated by time itself again. This matters because it raises the stakes in a way a simple, happy ending never could. If the show had just let them walk through the Stones together and reunite with their daughter Claire in peace, there would not be much story left to tell. By splitting them apart again, the writers create an entire season of tension around one simple question. Will they find their way back to each other a second time? There is also a darker layer here worth mentioning. The finale ended with Henry making a split-second choice. Having Julia touch the stone first while he stayed behind in case their son could not make the trip too. That choice was an act of love, but it also might be the exact reason he ended up stuck on his own. If that is the case, then his current struggle is not just bad luck. It is the direct result of putting his family first in a moment of crisis. That kind of detail is exactly why this story keeps pulling fans back in season after season. Asterisk. Let's bring this together and talk about what it means going forward. Based on everything revealed so far, it looks like season 2 opens with Julia back home in her own time taking care of their baby completely alone, not knowing if or when Henry will return. Henry, meanwhile, is dropped into an unfamiliar situation in a different time, dealing with isolation and his own mental health struggles while trying to find a path back to his family. The two of them are not sharing scenes together at the start of this season, the way fans might have hoped after that emotional ending last year. Instead, this show is using their separation to dig deeper into who these characters are on their own. We get to see how Julia handles being a new parent without her partner there to support her. We get to see how Henry copes with trauma and isolation while still holding on to hope that he can make it back. Neither one of them is given an easy path, and that is clearly intentional. The bigger picture here connects directly to the story fans already know from the original series. We know baby Claire grows up and eventually becomes the woman at the center of the entire Outlander story. So in a strange way, watching her parents struggle to find their way back to each other right now is also the origin story of everything that shaped who Claire becomes later in life. Every separation, every hard choice, every moment of struggle these two go through is quietly building the backstory of one of the most iconic characters in the whole franchise. That connection is part of what makes this reveal hit so hard for longtime fans. This is not just a side story about two random characters. It is the foundation of the bigger story everyone already loves. And season 2 just confirmed that foundation is going to be built on heartbreak before it is built on healing.